justice.
There is a kind of justice where you don't need lawyers.
Kenny versus Fox?
In the small claims court, the idea is to represent yourself. This may not look like a court of law. There's no witness box and there's no dock. But nevertheless, this is a court of justice. It's supposed to be cheap and informal. This is do-it-yourself justice.
We're up against these big, frightening companies who think, a lot of them seem to think that they can do what they like.
But does the People's Court always deliver?
I just want justice. And I can't understand why I can't get it.
Meet Harry Tomlin. Today he's starting yet another small claim at Bournemouth County Court. He's an expert in the art of the small claim. For Harry, it's become a way of life.
Oh, if a bank makes a mistake, you charge them. I always put postage, sundry, telephone calls, stationery. Think of any other words that you can add to it and call it a round figure of £20. Don't sell yourself short. I mean, I'd say, you know, think about what you've lost. Oh, here we go. Someone's promised to give me £40. Oh, that's a good idea. We have today credited your account with £27.50. British Telecom and a cheque for £170. I mean, I deserved it. I'm not a serial claimant. I just claim what is right, what is fair, to put a wrong right, and to put me into a position that I was in before these companies have done wrong to me. But like half the time I'm acting on behalf of other people, like my mother-in-law, because these people deserve to be helped. It's rip-off Britain.
Righting those wrongs is a full-time job. Harry is partially disabled and he can't work full-time. But he has time on his hands to fill in endless claim forms. The first stage is to issue your claim at the county court.
Hello there. Have I come to the right place to issue these, please?
Yeah.
For a small fee.
That's £50 then, please.
OK. You take a cheque, yeah?
Yes, we do.
The most you can claim for is £5,000.
To Her Majesty's Paymaster General.
Yeah, sure.
But the more you claim, the higher the fee.
Thank you.
In just a few months, that's lightning in legal terms, you should be in front of a judge.
This is when the party's coming into my room. This is the corridor down which they'll go. They walk in here and they'll come in here. Now, you see, it's not like a normal courtroom. It's just a room, no dock, no raised bench. The claimant will sit on one chair, defendant will sit on another chair. The idea is it should appear informal, but by the same token, we don't want people to think they're not sitting in front of a real judge and what they're going to get is not a real judgment. It is.
They have lay people holding their hands, perhaps, or whatever.
The small claims hearings are now supposed to be open, so really anybody can come in, provided they don't make a nuisance of themselves. And then I'm sat right in front of them. As far as the mystique about courts generally is concerned, one of the whole objects of the small claims system is to remove that mystique. The new rules are written in plain English, the encouragement being that everybody else should use plain English as well, particularly so those persons that are not used to legalese are not bamboozled by legalese being written down by the other side. Basically, when somebody's bringing a claim, what we want them to do is, in effect, to tell us a story.
The brief details of a claim. It's for payment of money as compensation caused by the defendant's breach of contract and/or negligence. The defendant is Virgin Trains, and the damages for the distress and anxiety and worries caused to Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones is my mother-in-law, Virgin Trains refused to let on the train.
Harry's elderly mother-in-law was coming south to visit the family. Harry's wife had booked and paid for the ticket in advance. At the station, though, Virgin Trains refused to give her her ticket. It was the wrong reference number, they said, so she had to go home. Harry swung into action. His experience of complaining soon got results.
Well, I got the chief executive of Virgin Train Lines. He rang me from his mobile, from his hotel at 9 o'clock at night. Oh, of course, I got all the flattery about what a service I've done for the great British travelling public, that I brought this to the attention of the company. I thought it was just a load of company waffle.
After much complaining, Virgin Trains finally offered Harry several free first-class tickets. But they'd annoyed Harry so much, he issued a small claim.
The offer of more tickets to travel around the country with Virgin isn't that attractive, really, when really you need to be compensated for your out-of-pocket expenses.
Virgin Trains say they don't accept the claim. They say the case doesn't warrant legal proceedings, given their repeated and generous attempts to resolve the matter. Harry's claiming over £300 costs and losses, plus hundreds of pounds for the upset to his family.
And perhaps you haven't made it clear that you want money as compensation. Maybe you've been going on a bit on this front page about the actual details of the dispute. But unless you actually state clearly that you want payment of money as compensation, it's likely to get rejected.
The courts are now trying to make life easier by introducing customer service points.
Good morning, can I help you?
I run a small business and I've got a client who refuses to pay me.
Certainly. How much do they owe you?
It's £450.
These are the forms you will need.
While they can't give you legal advice, they can help with procedure. There are leaflets too in plain English to help you fill in the form.
We'll make this offer to Mr. Thomason if he is happy with that.
Right.
Of course, you could always hire a lawyer.
OK, and you'll see him today?
I will go and see him.
But that could cost you more than your claim is worth. And you can't reclaim their fees, as generally judges will not award legal costs. The whole idea of small claims is to stop people getting caught up in expensive legal actions.
It's the judge's job to make sure that everybody is as equal as possible before the judge. If they feel that somebody's disadvantaged by virtue of the fact that the other person is legally represented, they will try and assist them in that regard. But remember, it's not our job to represent one of the parties.
Before starting a small claim, it's recommended you get professional advice. At the Citizens Advice Bureau, it's free. Harry's been taken on as a trainee advisor. Today, he's come to hear the story of a woman with a possible small claim.
What can we do for you anyway?
The problem is that I bought a video. It's £69 worth of equipment. After 2 months, it started eating at the tapes. So you think I've got a case there, do you? Despite the fact I haven't got a receipt.
You don't need a receipt anymore.
And, right.
The small claims procedure obviously does have its drawbacks. It's still rather intimidating. I suppose it would help if you could get a lot more specialist advice. I mean, if there was legal aid available for solicitors to help you with this, and maybe that would be helpful. But in the absence of that, I mean, you get very good advice from the Citizens Advice Bureau law centres. All right.
That's the kind of mistake Harry never makes. Each of his claims is painstakingly prepared.
Don't sell yourself short. I mean, I'd say think about what you've lost. Write down the details of every telephone conversation. You can charge them for that later. Think about what it means to you, the fact that you can't use the washing machine. It's not just a cost that you've got to go to the laundrette down the road. It's the journey to the laundrette as well, isn't it?
Harry's greatest triumph was against the RAC. He'd paid them to check a second-hand car he was thinking of buying.
I thought, you know, going to a reputable company like that with all their expertise, all their training, I could rely on their report. Of course, after a 144-point test, any second-hand car would come out with some faults, and you'd expect that. So, of course, they listed some faults, but they didn't actually didn't make it clear to me that we suspect there might be the possibility, there could be, a head gasket problem.
Harry was planning a family holiday in France, so he went ahead and bought the car. He used to be a special effects man on the Benny Hill show, making sure everything went wrong. This time, it was for real. It was a head gasket problem. The RAC denied liability, so Harry issued a small claim.
Basically, I only wanted £265 for the head gasket, but in the end, because they annoyed me so much, I wrote out a whole statement of claim, and you just list as many things as you can. The fax, they told me to send them a fax. I had to travel to the French shop, £5.30. The cost of replacing the head gasket, £175. Typing, paper, photocopying, £22.20. Postage, recorded deliveries, £7.40. Don't forget, you had to go to the post office, didn't you? Charge them for it. Daytime telephone calls to their office, to everybody else's. Now, this is very strange. Loss of enjoyment of family's holiday and disappointment caused by the RAC because of their misstatements and their representations. And I've added here the increased fuel consumption, £700. In the end, I asked them for £1,554. If they'd have paid me £265 in the first place, it would have been a lot easier.
The RAC settled the claim before it went to court. They never accepted liability, but they did agree to give Harry £1,100 as a goodwill gesture. The RAC say a visual check of a car can't predict which part might go wrong. Do you ever exaggerate your claims?
I didn't hear that question.